What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Higurashi When They Cry Sotsu. This is episode 12, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Okay, so I was hoping we would just move on to new stuff. I mean, we kind of did, and then the second half of the episode was just completely rehashing a lot of the stuff we already seen again. So
yeah,
it's kind of getting a little. I mean, I literally had to skip, fast forward like the last half of that episode because I knew what was happening. Of course, there were some tiny bit scenes of like with Sadako in it, but we can already assume for ourselves that it's Sadako's responsible for all that crap that's going on, and yeah. I mean, I would really hate for them to to rehash a lot of the stuff from the Sadako Washi Hen chapter they did, but I doubt it. It's with it being like 3 more episodes left.
Yeah. So this episode does rehash quite a few things from Neko Damashi, which I was kind of hoping they wouldn't do once this new arc starts, because it's called it has a different arc.
It's called
but it's
the
God Entertaining chapter.
Yeah, Higurashi Hen.
I think the beginning of the episode had some of the most differences because we see more scenes with Sadako talking with Yua as well, but we also kind of see that scene again with Rika talking with Hanyu. But of course, before that happens, Hanyu is kind of going over why she became friends with Rika, and it's something about the Furude bloodline. How she was the 8th daughter or something in the Furude bloodline, and we kind of get a little some little hints about Hanyu's past and what she had to do in the past. It is kind of interesting because in the visual novel, I think they actually do go into fully go into Hanyu's backstory, but here we just kind of get some tidbits of what she did in the past, I guess. And that was kind of interesting. And of course we get some of the scenes from Kai kind of reanimated, with Hanyu taking physical form and joining the group, and also what happened at the very end of Kai with with Hanyu and the group confronting Takano.
Yeah,
and I kind of was that's kind of nice, but I'm also just kind of going with the theme of retreading things. I'm just kind of wondering, did we? I don't know. Was it necessary to see that again?
Unless you're a viewer who's not familiar with, with the Higurashi series before, I mean, it makes sense. But for the people that already, that's already familiar with it, it's why would we need to watch this?
Yeah,
again?
I mean, at least we kind of see what ended up happening with Hanyu. Although we could have, I guess, pretty much guessed where she went. She just went back to the, she went back to the spirit world or whatever, but we just, I guess they showed that happening and in this episode, after what happens with Rika at the end of Kai.
I mean, the only notable, I think one of 2 notable things that happened in this episode. First one was with, of course, when Hanyu told Rika about that mystic sword that can kill loopers, and what we find out that Sadako and Yua were eavesdropping on the conversation. So Sadako knew about the sword ahead of time, so she went to the temple first and then took out the sword herself. What she didn't know was one piece of the sword ended up chipping off, and she was damn nearly killed by it by accident. But she has possession of the actual sword herself, so Rika can't use it. But of course, like we saw before, Rika gets in there. Initially, she didn't find the sword, but she found a piece of the shard inside the statue, so she can use it whenever she wants. Of course, whether or not Sadako really knows this or not, maybe she will find out eventually. But right now, Rika does technically have possession of the piece.
Yeah, I mean, Rika does still have the element of surprise because Sadako doesn't actually know that Rika has at least a fragment of the sword. Although I didn't think that Sadako would have the rest of the sword, though, so there's also that. But that was one of the more interesting things in the episode. Everything else, of course, like we said, it's pretty much going through all the times that Rika was killed in Neko Damashi. The only difference is that we see what led up to it, of course, with Sadako, like the first one, I think, being Akasaka, and Sadako telling Akasaka, like, oh, there's these parasites that Rika has, and, you know, they need to be gotten out of her. And before she's about to inject Akasaka with the H173. And that kind of explains why Akasaka was, I guess, rambling about that. Although, of course, like I said, I question, like, did we really need to see this happen? Did we need an explanation for that? I mean, I really feel like our mind could have filled in the gaps, but okay. And this kind of happens. This is kind of the trend that happens with the other people that have killed Rika as well. The one being Kimiyoshi, of course. Sadako just shows up. We see her, of course. We know she was involved in that. And she was also involved with Mion and Chion's mother killing everybody. I would say that was one of the more interesting scenes because, like, just because of what happens between them at the end. Like, I was kind of surprised that Sadako was able to just dodge around her, like swinging a katana at her, and then just, you know, blowing her head off.
But you know, what one viewer, I think his name is Rookie Senpai, pointed out that was it really necessary for Sadako to just straight up kill her, even though she knows Rika was already dead at that point. Yeah, we were wondering, like, I mean, and it's a good question, like, why doesn't she just let herself get killed if she already knows that Rika is dead? She's confirmed that Rika is dead. I mean, why doesn't she just let herself just get killed? I mean, I guess you could really say the same. I mean, I think we could probably say the same for some other instances in which she just kills herself. When she's confirmed Rika's death, there's no reason for her to stay alive. Well, yeah, but we've seen other instances of this happening, because if you remember, like, when Mion confirmed to Sadako that she was the one who ended up killing Rika, Sadako just ended up shooting her in the head anyway. And before she, I just thought of something too, though. Yeah. What about I mean, what if Mion was lying to her? How would she have known? I mean, she didn't go to confirm it herself. She just heard it from Mion, and she trusted Mion enough to trust that she was telling the truth. It's hard to tell. I feel like that's a little bit of a plot hole, because it's like that. She what if, you know, like I said, if she was lying, Sadako would have screwed herself by killing herself already if Rika was actually still alive. Yeah, and then of course there was the other instance of what happened last week when she ended up killing Oishi, even though she literally saw him beating Rika to death. And yeah, I think it was, what makes it even funnier is that she went up to Rika and asked if she was still alive after she had her head caved in multiple times with the bat. And of course she had to shoot her, I guess, just to make sure that she was dead. Yeah, I mean, we come to realize of Sadako's current state of mind, that she just, I don't know, it just feels like, she's taking enjoyment out of this for whatever reason. I mean, she has been the whole time. She's just been cartoonishly evil this whole time, taking sadistic pleasure out of seeing her friend getting killed in horrible ways and killing everybody else. She blatantly just shot her uncle in the fucking head in the other episode. So, but I mean, like one of the other episodes confirms this is like supposedly some evil incarnation of Sadako that may or may not be a witch. And it's, I guess it's trying to say, like, this isn't really Sadako, but I don't know. I mean, I found that interesting, and I'm wondering if it's going to come up again. Yeah, I mean, because like we said before, it's like, it's really hard to believe that this is actually Sadako doing all this. It's not just like some kind of she's either being possessed or like somebody else is taking over. I mean, it's just like, well, we already know that this is like, her evil personality after she ended up killing her good one, who tried to prevent her from killing, her uncle, but to no avail. So yeah, we are still stuck with this evil version of Sadako, unless something changes in the next episode or two. But that's pretty much it. Well, other than like what happened at the end, in which we finally see Hanyu finally confronting Yua for the very first time in the show. So, and then there's another thing I want to, bring up is that Yua mentioned keeps referring Hanyu as this what was it, a failed version or something. I don't know.
She keeps calling her like a failure.
Yeah, it's calling her failure or something like that. Or I think the line was, she said, "If it isn't my darling failure," which leads me to believe they could be related to one another. Maybe Yua is the mother of Hanyu or something like that, because their appearances look somewhat similar in some ways.
It seems like that might be what they're trying to imply. Yeah,
but of course, like, we were left with this cliffhanger until next week, so we don't know. I don't know. We'll have to find out what's gonna happen next week. But yeah, it's just, honestly, it just felt like more of an uneventful episode, because it's just retreading a lot of the stuff we already knew about Hanyu from the first place, and not to mention that just them rehashing a lot of the material that we saw back in Higurashi Go. I mean, this is the same complete we had with the last arc, with them like rehashing a lot of the scenes from Sadako
Wash.
Yeah, the Sadako Washi arc, or what was it, the Curse Deceiving chapter, whatever the.
Oh yeah.
It's, honestly, it just felt like another throwaway.
I feel like it wasn't
opinion.
so bad in the beginning, because there was a lot of stuff that I feel like needed to be cleared up, but it feels like in the middle and like the latter half of Sotsu, it gets particularly annoying, because there are quite a few scenes that I really don't feel like need to be gone over again.
I mean, yeah, it's just, honestly, the episode just felt like more of a throwaway episode, in my opinion. I mean, with the exceptions of a few like interesting scenes with involving the sword and Sadako knowing about it, but it's just what are they gonna do with are they gonna do anything with the whole like Yua and Hanyu scene going forward, or are they just gonna end up, or maybe they will, or are they just gonna keep rehashing a lot of the stuff we saw in Nekodomashi already? Because there's still that that one more scene, if we remember, it's like it was Sadako just brutally like mutilating Rika's body alive at
Oh yeah, I really hope they don't go through that scene again. I really don't think we need to see that again, because there's nothing else that they can really. I really don't think there's much else they can add to it. I mean, what else is there? I don't know, but
it's just okay. I mean, it's just only after that is shortly after when Rika finally finds out that Sadako is the looper, and then we can finally move on from there. But it's just how much longer are they just gonna keep us keep us hanging?
We only have 3 more episodes, so I mean, they really, I mean, they can't continue to waste time on stuff we've already gone through. So I really hope that the next 3 episodes they actually just start to get into new stuff instead of going over like the same scenes we've already seen.
Yeah, I mean, if they are gonna just rehash the whole, another episode, then they'll probably do it the next one. But then what else are they gonna do in the next 2 episodes? Are they just gonna finally settle their confrontation in the finale episode and that's it? I mean, I would really love to see a little bit more than a little bit more.
I just don't think this is something they can wrap up in 1 episode.
Probably not. I mean, it's just I don't know. I just feel like they need to handle this a little bit more quickly, because at this point they're just wasting too much time on just rehashing a lot of stuff that we've seen before.
Yeah, that's my main frustration with it. Yeah, it just feels like it's getting progressively worse with how much, in my opinion, just how much time they're wasting. Like I said, I feel like 50% of this episode was just kind of rehashing stuff we've already seen, and really, like I said, I have to wonder if it's all necessary because, like, you know, we already know that Sadako was manipulating these people, except now this episode is just showing us that she did do that, which we, like I said, everybody who's watching this has already figured that much out. So
another complaint I have is like the fact that this is what 15 episodes this season. I mean, what's the reason why they couldn't just make it into 2 cores unless, you know, they actually do have a plan of how they're going to end up finishing this off.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's assuming that they're not going to end this story with the last few episodes. I mean, who knows what they're planning to do after this if they don't like find a way to conclude the story in the last 3 episodes. You know, it's who knows. Like, I mean, I'm interested to see how this is all going to conclude, but like I said, it is just kind of annoying having to watch the same scenes again and wondering why we're being shown this. Yeah, but I mean, aside from that, I just don't really have much else to say about this episode. It was just kind of it just felt like kind of a bit of a pointless episode, honestly, like, because you know, aside from certain new scenes, most of the rest of it was just, like I said, going over stuff we've already seen. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope they don't. I mean, I'm afraid that they're gonna end up rehashing one more thing before we finally move on to actual new stuff. It's just like getting a little bit annoying at this point, but I just really hope.
Yeah, and we had to wait pretty much this whole season just to get really just to get the actual new material. I mean, like we did get new stuff with the answer arcs and, you know, seeing things from other characters' perspectives, but like I said before, what I'm most interested in what is going to happen with Sadako and Rika, and like I feel like we're not. I kind of hope we're not going to just get that in maybe like the last 2 episodes or something. That'll be just really frustrating because we've sat through all these episodes and a lot of them, like I've been saying, just feels like just kind of watching the same scenes over and over again. I mean,
the season did have like a particularly good, strong start with the first arc with focusing on Rena.
But it felt like progressively, like it started to get worse with just kind of showing like the same things and not really having like too much justification for it. Especially, I think this episode is the worst example of that, honestly, because I feel like a lot of it could have been skipped.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you have anything else to say about this.
No, I mean, well, I mean, I can pretty much kind of predict what's going to happen next week. I mean, we like I said, we probably might get a follow up to that Yua Hanyu scene, but then I'm afraid they're going to end up rehashing that one more scene in, you know, which involved like Sadako mutilating Rika, but I don't know how long they're going to end up getting into that though.
It was a pretty drawn out scene in Go, so I mean, hopefully it's not that way in this too. If they do go over that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that all being said, until next Thursday, we will see you all next time.